On Global TV News Prime, Nigeria Labour Congress, Trade Union Congress planned peaceful solidarity rally February 3. And in business, the stakeholders push for unified energy regulation for Africa. And on the foreign scene, United Nations scale up food aid for flood-hit communities in Mozambique. In sport, Morocco remains 2026 Women African Cup of Nations host, says South Africa's sport minister. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. The Nigerian Labour Congress, that is NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, TUC, says they will stage a peaceful solidarity rally on February 3 in support of the Joint Union Action Committee, that is JUAC. The union announced this in a joint statement signed by Benson Upa, General Secretary of the NLC, and Nuhu Toro, Secretary General of the TUC in Abuja. The statement said the solidarity is in support of the strike by Federal Capital Territory workers led by JUAC over unpaid salaries. The ongoing strike by the Joint Health Sector Union has entered the third day, crippling activities in government-owned hospitals across Nigeria, leaving patients stranded and forcing many to seek essential services outside public health facilities. Now, in its third month, the industrial action has granted critical services, particularly in hospitals, pharmacies, laboratories, and other support departments, significantly disrupting healthcare delivery, while the industrial action has severely disrupted federal health institutions. Health workers in state-owned hospitals in Ekiti and Benue states have largely remained on duty, mitigating the impact on patients. Former national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, that is APC, and former governor of Kano State, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje, has congratulated the executive governor of Kano State, Abba Yusuf, and the deputy president of the Senate, Senator Barau Jibrin, on their respective honors at the 2025 Sun Newspaper Award. In a statement, Dr. Ganduje described Governor Yusuf's recognition as the Sun Newspaper Governor of the year 2025 as well deserved, noting that it reflects his commitment to good governance, courageous leadership, and people-centered policy aimed at improving the welfare of Kano citizens and residents. He said the award underscores the growing national recognition of Kano State's strides in governance and development. Dr. Ganduje also congratulated Senator Barau Jibrin on receiving the Sun Newspaper Humanitarian Award 2025, describing the honor as a fitting acknowledgement of his compassion for the less privileged and his dedication to uplifting lives through impactful humanitarian interventions and selfless service to humanity. He commended the Sun newspaper for sustaining its tradition of celebrating excellence, leadership, and service to society, while wishing both award recipients continued success in their respective roles and greater contributions to the development of Kano State and the nation at large. President Bola Tinubu says no nation can thrive without deliberate investment in its youth. Speaking at the 34th Convocation and 43rd Founders Day of the Federal University of Technology in Minna, Niger State, President Tinubu stressed that Nigerians should not be denied quality education due to financial constraints. Represented by the Minister of State for Education, Professor Sueba Said Ahmad, the President lauded the institution's 43-year history as a center of excellence in science, engineering, innovation, and applied research. Meanwhile, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has urged Nigerian youths to use the ongoing national reforms to upskill their skills. Idris said this while delivering this year's convocation lecture titled Youth and Nation Building, Navigating Opportunities in an Era of National Reforms at the 24th convocation ceremony of the Federal University of Technology, Minna, Niger State. The minister described them as critical pathways for personal growth and nation building. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has urged the chairman and members of the National Assembly Service Commission to ensure federal character is reflected in the activities of the commission. Senator Akpabio made the call when the chairman and other members of the 6th National Assembly Service Commission visited him in his office. The Senate President congratulated them on their appointment and expressed the confidence that with their experiences and maturity, they will deliver on their mandate. The Nigerian Police Fund Pensions Limited says it has paid 97.5 billion naira retirement benefit to 30,370 retirees. Acting Managing Director Abdulkarim Gazawa said that death benefits announcing to 39.57 billion naira has been paid to 8,847 next of kin, while 25,572 retirees are currently receiving monthly pensions valued at over 1.56 billion naira. Speaking at the 2026 pre-retirement seminar organized by Nigerian Police Fund Pension Limited in Lagos, he reaffirmed the organization's commitment to ensuring the timely and efficient payment of pensions and other entitlements to retired police officers. In another development, the Lagos State government has disbursed over 1 billion naira as accrued pension rights to about 543 retirees under the contributory pension scheme, reaffirming its commitment to the welfare and financial security of retired public servants. The payment was announced at the 113th Retirement Benefit Bond Certificate presentation ceremony held at the Adeyemi Bero Auditorium, Alausa, Lagos. Delivering a goodwill message, the head of service, Olubode Agoro, said the regular settlement of retirement benefits was not merely a policy choice, but a pledge the state had continued to honor in recognition of the service rendered by public servants. The Labour Party, under the leadership of Senator Nnamdi Usman, has held a stakeholders meeting in Abuja following recent court judgments affirming the party's leadership structure. Global Television political correspondent Ubong Usoro was there for Global Television.
The meeting took place at the Abia State Government Lodge in Asokoro, Abuja. Senator Nnamdi Usman acknowledged the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) for complying with the Federal High Court's judgment granting the party's leadership and uploading of the party's National Working Committee on INEC portal. She also referenced the Supreme Court judgment of April 4, 2025, which nullified earlier rulings recognizing the former National Chairman Julius Abure. The National Secretary, Senator Darlington Walkacha, announced that World Congresses will commence on March 14th, while the party's National Convention is scheduled for April 25th, 2026. He also disclosed plans for nationwide membership revalidation and fresh registration. Abia State Governor Alex Oti said the Labour Party remains strong despite recent challenges, adding that the party is committed to unity, reconciliation, and rebuilding.
Included the organization of congresses from the ward to the zonal level, culminating in the National Convention.
The Labour Party has announced it will not participate in the February 21st FCT area council elections, while expressing optimism that the party will emerge stronger ahead of the 2027 general elections. Ubong Usoro for Global Television News.
The immediate past governor of Benue State, Samuel Ortom, says the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is open to forming strategic alliances with other political parties ahead of the 2027 governorship election. Ortom disclosed this in Makurdi while hosting over 1,300 former appointees who served under his administration. Felicity Ndere was there and now reports.
The immediate past governor of Benue State, Samuel Ortom, is laying the groundwork for possible political realignment ahead of the 2027 general elections.
Even in the face of immense pressure and opposition from Abuja, you stood still.
Speaking in his Makurdi residence, Ortom told former cabinet members and appointees that politics thrives on inclusiveness and shared interest, stressing that the PDP remains open to strategic partnerships aimed at confronting common political opponents.
We adopt strategic partnership, and for us here, I've discussed with others here, and we agreed that if it is by age, if it is by strength, if it is by position, George Akume is a leader of Benue politics.
Reflecting on the 2023 governorship election, Ortom admitted that he erred by imposing the former Speaker of the Benue State House of Assembly, Titus Uba, as the PDP candidate, acknowledging that the decision contributed largely to the party's poor performance.
The mistake I did was to impose a gubernatorial candidate on all of you who were in PDP. I made a mistake I did not ask for. That was my undoing. This man, who was the speaker, when they went for mock primaries, they came back with a result. And he was number 4, not even number 3.
Former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Michael Andaka, said political forces in Benue State are already exploring strategic alignment to ensure the emergence of credible leadership come 2027.
And the APC and PDP that is now recognized, which Ortom is a board member, have entered into strategic management partnership with Senator George Akume-led APC in North Central. The idea is to ensure that good leadership exists in North Central, irrespective of who emerges within the two political parties.
Samuel Ortom also cautioned traditional rulers against engaging in partisan politics, warning that such actions are illegal and could be challenged in court. In Makurdi, Felicity Ndere reporting for Global Television News.
Unless the National Assembly concludes its work on the amendment of the Electoral Act within 3 weeks and get President Bola Tinubu to assent immediately, the 2027 election may be postponed or conducted with the 2022 electoral law. Fresh anxiety over the fate of the 2027 general election heightened over the weekend following Thursday's decision of the House of Representatives to step down consideration of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. This was amid concern by opposition parties and civil society organizations that delayed by the National Assembly could disrupt the country's tightly regulated electoral timetable. The African Democratic Congress, that is ADC, has inaugurated a 50-member Wise Men and Women Policy and Manifesto Committee in Abuja. The committee is charged with the responsibility of developing people-oriented policies aimed at addressing critical national challenges, including poverty, hunger, and economic hardship. Political correspondent Ubong Usoro reports.
The committee was constituted following the approval of the National Working Committee, NWC, and the endorsement of the national chairman of the party, Senator David Mark. in furtherance of ADC's commitment to building a credible, people-centered and forward-looking policy framework for national governance. Speaking at the inauguration, Senator David Mark charged members of the committee to come up with practical and implementable ideas capable of moving Nigeria forward.
What Nigerians therefore desperately looking for are credible alternative ideas, actions and policies. They want policies that would improve their lives today and lay a solid foundation on which they can improve their future.
The Policy and Manifesto Committee is made up of Nigerians drawn from diverse sectors, including former public office holders, academics, technocrats, policy experts, civil society leaders, and other professionals. The committee is chaired by Chief John Odege Oyegu, with Professor Pat Utomi serving as deputy chairman, while Salisu Lukman is secretary. In his remarks, the chairman of the committee, Chief John Oyegu, assured party members and Nigerians that the committee would deliver a policy document that reflects the aspiration of the people and responds to the realities of the Nigerian state.
Remember, the emperors that govern us usually come out with their own programs immediately. Even their programs they don't faithfully execute, because the reality today is that we are in a contractor-governed nation.
With the inauguration of the Policy and Manifesto Committee, the African Democratic Congress says it is positioning itself as a party driven by ideas, competence, and solutions. Ubong Usoro for Global Television News.
Normal activities return at the initial main market today, as traders and shop owners opened their shops for business. Last Monday, the Anambra State Governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, ordered the closure of the Onitsha main market for 1 week, following traders' failure to comply with the state government's directive to disregard the Monday sit-at-home order. The governor issued the directive during an on-site visit to the market, accompanied by some of his aides and other government officials. Soludo warned that the closure could be extended if traders fail to comply, adding that security agencies had sealed the market to enforce the order. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency has predicted a mix of sunshine and cloudiness across the country from Tuesday to Thursday. NIMET's weather outlook, released on Monday in Abuja, forecast a sunny atmosphere over the northern region throughout the day on Tuesday. According to the outlook, the central region is expected to experience few patches of clouds with a hazy atmosphere, while isolated thunderstorms are possible over parts of southern Kwara later in the day. You're watching the live broadcast of News Prime. News Prime continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Let's take a quick look at what the weather has in store as we head into Tuesday. If you are in the north central region, keep an eye on the skies. We are seeing a good influx of moisture, so expect a partly cloudy conditions through the day. And by afternoon, yes, those clouds will start to build up. Some areas of the Federal Capital Territory, Niger, Nasarawa, and Benue State may hear a few rumbles of thunder, mostly without rain. Kogi and Kwara State, only a slim chance of thunderstorms, but still worth watching out for. Now, heading down south, there's where things get more active as residents of Oyo, Ogun, Oshun, Imo, Ondo, and most cities over the coastal areas should prepare for thunderstorms, especially later in the day. Well, up north, it's simple and dry, plenty of sunshine and rising temperatures. So stay cool and stay hydrated. And that's your weather update. Wherever you are, stay weather ready. I am Akami Samarda, and thank you for watching.
Welcome back from that break. Now let's take you to the world of business, where stakeholders at the National International Energy Summit have called for stronger regulatory diplomacy and a harmonized policy architecture to unlock Africa's vast energy potential. The call was made during a high-level session themed One Africa, One Regulatory Voice, aligning policies for continental prosperity and investment. Kikelomo Okere has the details.
The session focused on how fragmented regulations across African countries continue to slow energy growth, raise investment risk, and delay critical infrastructure. Speakers emphasized the need for unified regulatory framework anchored on African Union energy policies and strengthened by national reform, such as Nigerian Petroleum Industry Act, PIA.
We want to see a regulator that really and truly is the custodian or is managing the entire oil and gas reserves and trying to optimize what we can gain or the value that can be derived from this.
And that's part of what came into effect and changed the focus of our business, is enacting and following through laws that will energize the sector.
Participants noted that aligning licensing regimes, technical standards, and physical terms would help integrate regional power and energy markets, reduce uncertainty for investors, and improve cross-border project delivery. Nigeria's ongoing regulatory reform were cited as a practical model for transparency, predictability, and investors' confidence.
Since coming into upstream that I've been able to understand working with the regulator here is, again, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, is the clarity that the PIA has introduced. In terms of this.
PIA is a work in progress, and what is going on and what is going to be seen in the near future. Key again is the issues around investment flowing into the country. We've had over a decade of investment coming, but since the PIA came, we've had.
Drawing from regional collaboration and reform, the panel highlighted regulatory diplomacy as a strategic tool for Africa to speak with one voice in global energy markets. Stakeholders agree that a continent-wide approach would position Africa as a competitive energy destination capable of attracting long-term capital and driving sustainable growth.
Also look at the increase in the assets and the increase in upstream activities. When this administration started, we had a rig count of only 14 in country. But as we speak today, we have over 60 rigs in country carrying out different levels of activity.
With Africa energy future hanging on the balance, stakeholders insist the time for isolated policies is over. They say only a united regulatory front built on trust, alignment, and shared ambition can unlock investment, fast-track infrastructure, and give Africa a strong, confident voice in the global energy markets. Kikelomo Okere, Global Television News.
The officer of the Accountant General of the Federation says the total amount disbursed to state governments and the Federal Capital Territory as financial support for infrastructure and security projects has increased to 2.45 trillion naira. The office revealed this in an official record, noting that amounts disbursed between March 2024 and August 2025, which is spanned over 17 months, was aimed at bolstering infrastructure development and strengthening security operations at the subnational level. This is part of ongoing efforts to address widespread insecurity and bridge critical infrastructure gaps across the country. Petroleum Product Market says the only way to shield Nigeria from the shock of a sudden surge in petroleum prices is for the federal government to sell crude oil to Dangote Petroleum Refinery and other local refineries at subsidized rates. The marketers therefore urge the federal government to sell crude oil to domestic refiners with a subsidy to prevent a sharp increase in petrol prices. In particular, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria appealed to President Bola Tinubu to consider subsidizing crude prices while also extending the Naira for crude deal to other modular refineries operating in the country. The Managing Director of Operations at the World Bank, Anna Bide, is in Nigeria for a 3-day visit to deepen engagement on accelerating economic growth and job creation. In a statement issued, the World Bank said the visit scheduled for February 1, 2026 will focus on how the World Bank Group can be supported, Nigerians' reform agenda with consultation feeding into its forthcoming country partnership framework for Nigeria. According to the bank, the new strategy places job, energy access, and private sector-led growth at the center of Nigeria's development priorities. And on to the foreign scene. The United Nations World Food Programme, that is WFP, says it is scaling up the deliver life-saving food assistance to reach 450,000 people affected by the country's worst flooding in decades, months after Mozambicans recovered from the world's drought in its recent history. Development experts say the situation has compounded an already fragile humanitarian situation. Zarau Nasir reports.
Severe flooding in central and southern Mozambique has impacted nearly 700,000 people, forcing over 100,000 into temporary accommodation centers, submerging farmland areas, and cutting off hundreds of thousands of families from food and critical services. Around 1,500 kilometers of roads are now impassable, disrupting key supply routes and isolating vulnerable groups. World Food Programme is using specialized amphibious vehicles, boats, heavy-duty trucks, fixed-wing aircraft, and helicopters to reach the infected communities with food and nutrition assistance.
WFP has been here also from day one supporting the government's efforts, and the food is reaching people in very difficult to reach areas. We're using all means possible to do so, including amphibious vehicles.
The flooding crisis comes as Mozambique continues to grapple with a protracted conflict in the north, where 9 years of armed insurgency have displaced hundreds of thousands of people. Zahra Unasr, reporting for Global TV.
Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi has reiterated his commitment to inclusive and peaceful dialogue among all citizens of the Democratic Republic of Congo, stressing that national unity remains essential as conflict persists in the country. The Cuban has rejected accusation that it poses a threat to the security of the United States, insisting that it's ready to cooperate with Washington. The Cuban Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a statement calling for dialogue and processing the Caribbean island does not support terrorism. Now to the world of sport. Lagos State Sports Commission has taken a significant step in advancing its global sport agenda by entering into a strategic partnership with British Cycling. Speaking during the engagement, the Director General of Commission, Lekan Fatodu, described the partnership as a deliberate and result-oriented initiative within the state's border sports development strategy. This comes after the National Sport Commission also reached an agreement with the British Cycling Association to enable Nigerians cyclists train in Manchester ahead of the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Scotland. As Global TV News Prime comes to an end, let's take a look at our top stories. The Nigerian Labour Congress NLC and the Trade Union Congress TUC says they will stage a peaceful solidarity rally. And of course, the United Nations World Food Programme, WFP, said is scaling up to deliver lives of food assistance to reach 450 people affected by the country's worst flooding in decades. And of course, to the world of sport. South Africa Minister of Sports Gyan Marti has dismissed reports suggesting that the country has been confirmed as the new host of the 2026 World Women's African Cup of Nations. And that's it on Global TV News Prime. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen at Global TV NG. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Thanks for watching.